Here lies the seed, or rather a whole greenhouse of relationship problems. Hi, I'm Charlene Anders. I am a creativity coach who specializes in working with singers and other musicians. This is the second part of me reacting to Mark Tremonti's inspiration and tips that he shared in a Sweetwater interview in March 2020. I'll link to the first part, I think, or maybe here. If you haven't watched that yet, this is supposed to show you how a creativity coach works or might work. And a word of warning, I am a big fan of Mark Tremonti, so don't expect me to be unbiased. Here we go.
Older youngster like myself who wants to get better and has no clue or needs some inspiration, what three or four pieces of advice would you pass on?
As far as lead playing, improvise a lot, even if you think you're not a good improviser and you're intimidated by not knowing theory and not knowing what to play. I always tell people, I'll show somebody how to find the key, put on a backing track, find the key of the song. I just go up on my D string until it sounds like it's in the right key of the song. Then I know I have my pentatonic box here, and I'll show people the pentatonic box. And then I would just take 4 notes, maybe on your D and G string, your 5th and 7th fret, and don't play anything but those 4 notes. Bend it in every which way you possibly can. Get your nice vibrato, your bending. I'd rather hear some, if I went to a guitar shop and I hear some kids doing sweep arpeggios, I wouldn't be as impressed as hearing a kid having nice vibrato and being able to.
There's the story of Van Gogh. He dedicated years to perfecting his brushstroke. He saw what he wanted to paint in his mind, but his technique wasn't there. And instead of saying, okay, I can't do that, he didn't do anything else for years but work on his strokes. This reminds me of that.
Sing what's in their heart on their guitar, and you can do that with just 4 notes. So learn those, just grab those 4 notes and then add a 5th, or just go up, take those 4 notes and play them in different areas of the guitar.
Right.
And just start blooming from there. Don't try to take it in all at once. Another great piece of advice I got years ago was don't be overwhelmed by learning all the keys of the guitar at once. Take one master key. That's kind of your if you learn something that somebody's doing in B, relearn it in this favorite key of yours. So when you're learning theory, you've got this one master key that you've absolutely learned, from top to bottom, so you can then transpose. So mine on the guitar would be E.
In the first part, we talked about variation, originality through variation. This is related to that. Use your strength. If you like to play stuff in E, by all means, play in it as much as you can.
It's the easiest guitar key. If you're a country player, maybe it's A, and if you're a piano player, it's C. But for guitar, to me, it's E. Everything I learn, I try to incorporate it in the key of E and then transpose from there.
Gotcha.
When I was younger, especially.
So it's like ground zero for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great advice, and it leads to the question: what is your ground zero? In the art that you pursue, what is your ground zero? Mark says here that he used to like playing and transposing to E. So what's your E? Look at your work, look at your art, and find that sweet spot. And find ways to move things into it, or at least towards it.
Now, what about the dreaded rut that we all hit? Any advice on breaking out of a rut, or do you just have to persevere?
I think the best way to get out of a rut is definitely pick up your guitar every day.
I was so hoping you'd say that. The power of daily practice, it's everything. Eric Meisel just published a book called The Power of Daily Practice, and in it he calls it the single most crucial element of success is daily practice. And if you find it hard to believe him, you can believe Mark Tremonti.
I try to do, every year I try to do this and I always fail, but at the new year, I always say, no matter what, you've got to pick up the guitar for a half hour, no matter what happens. The half hour is nothing. It's not.
Right.
A half hour might be nothing if you are Mark Tremonti. If you're at that level and you need to keep that level, and more than that you want to advance. But if you're not, a half hour every day is great. Especially if right now you don't even have a daily practice in place, and maybe you consider yourself blocked and you don't know what to do about it. A half hour every day, even 20 minutes, that would be a major step towards creating a meaningful life, towards creating meaning in your life. Just imagine doing something for 30 minutes every day, 7 days a week, because we need meaning on a Sunday as well. Meaning doesn't take a break, and more importantly, meaning leaks don't take breaks.
Wouldn't be proud to play a half hour a day, but if you at least play a half hour a day, you're going to remember what you did yesterday. You're going to fall back a little bit, but you're still going to be, you're still going to be in the mode of what you're working on. But if you take 4 days off or 3 days off, you're really hurting yourself as a player. So you got to play.
Yeah, if you don't practice for 4 days, you lose years. And I know this sounds hard, but it is very true. Daily practice is the key to everything. And this goes for all kinds of artists. If you are a writer and for whatever reason you don't write for 4 days, it might be years before you pick up your pen again. Daily practice.
You got to pick that guitar up every day. Even if you go on vacation, I try to bring a guitar or just something. But
your wife probably loves you for that.
Yeah, she understands.
Yeah.
But I also.
2 things. First of all, what I said regarding Sundays, Mark says take your guitar with you on your vacation. You'll need meaning in your vacation as well. So yes, take your guitar with you. Take whatever instrument you need to make meaning with you. Don't take vacations from your art. Take vacations with it. And secondly, ideally we surround ourselves with people who understand that we have to take our guitars with us, who understand our ways of meaning making. Nevertheless, of course, here lies the seed, or rather a whole greenhouse of relationship problems, and that will be a topic for another video.
Also think learning something new every day, you don't have to master it, but learn something new every day. I like to get on YouTube, where I have so many different memberships. I've got the TrueFire membership, and I've got the Pickup Music membership, and I've got the jamtracks.com memberships, and all these memberships, and I'll go on and I'll...
Okay, I'm going to find these for you and put them in the description box.
Scroll through all these things and try to learn one new thing a day, and when you're doing that, a lot of times it completely inspires you to go in a whole other direction. I find that if you're trying to learn one thing and you're just not getting it, but you're like, if I just try harder and harder, I'm going to get it eventually, you just never get it, you're going to frustrate yourself into thinking you're just not good enough as a player. But then if you go and branch off and do other things, all of a sudden you've learned something that has nothing to do with this other thing that's already made this thing easier to do, and finally you get it for some odd reason, because you've diversified your playing, and all of a sudden you've tackled this thing that you couldn't do before because you've figured something out.
That is such an amazing piece of advice. And it sounds like a contradiction to the getting obsessed with something that we talked about earlier in the first part, but they can go hand in hand. when I'm stuck working on a song, when I'm tackling like a new cover and I struggle and there's something that I just can't do, I start singing Ella Fitzgerald. And I don't understand the dynamics behind it, or rather the magic, but it works every time. Like one day I want to give up on the new song that I'm working on, and then I focus on one of Ella's songs, usually My Funny Valentine. And all of a sudden the problems I had with that other song, they are gone. Try it. Not necessarily with Ella, but maybe play around.
This other technique that got you to the finish line on this technique. So I used to do a lot when I was younger, is take one thing and just try to drill it until I got it, and it would slow me down. So now I try to choose what's important, focus on it, but then also start learning multiple things at a time, and diversifying as much as I can while improvising all.
He's talking about something that I like to call having soft focus. It's a term, and I'm using it differently than the original meaning, but I learned this through my theater work, especially working with something called viewpoints, which, by the way, are awesome, and I should do a video series on them. Soft focus is when you allow your eyes to relax and not just take in what's right in front of them, but rather the whole field of vision. If you soften your focus in the way that Mark just described, your mental focus, you will be able to detect a lot more. You will be able to take in more.
The time and incorporating those ideas into what I'm doing improvising.
That's great advice, great advice. Now to finish, would you mind showing us 3 cool licks that will push someone, challenge someone, and also improve them possibly?
Sure.
I guess in E, right? No.
Yeah, in E. No, I'll start out with an easy one. It's not really going to push, but this is, I do this thing. So yeah.
Cool. Listen, thank you so much for the advice.
Thank you.
My takeaway is I need to practice at least half an hour a day and try and learn something new.
Well, not at least that. Just don't go a day without practicing a half hour a day. You should get, one thing somebody told me that really struck home was Emil Worcester. He was like, one of my best students is complaining about hitting a rut. And I said, well, how much are you practicing a day? And he goes, 2 hours. And he goes, it's like, well, 2 hours really, if you want to be a damn fine guitar player, I guess that 2 hours doesn't really get you across the finish line. With a guy like me, 2 hours a day, it's like, all right, I got my 2 hours in. I wouldn't be disappointed in that. But a guy like him, who's this technical genius, 2 hours to him is nothing.
Right.
So it depends on what you want. Do you want to be Steve?
Yeah, he makes an excellent point here. It's all about what do you want. What kind of career as a guitar player, for example, or singer, whatever, do you want? You need to know this for yourself. Do you want to be a technical genius, or a damn fine guitar player, as he just put it? Then you have to dedicate a considerable large amount of your time to practicing. And this might sound obvious, but career planning and figuring out what would constitute a good career for you, that is a question that comes up in my coachings all the time, basically with every client. You need to know what you want, where you want to go. You have to decide that. You have to make up your mind. You have to do the soul searching. Nobody can do it for you.
Do you want to be? Depends on how much time you want to put in. I'm sure a guy like Guthrie Govan didn't spend a half hour a day on a guitar.
No, I guess it would take a couple of hours just to maintain that level of expertise.
Yes. So if you want to I think every guitar player needs to go through periods of inspiration where they're doing 6-7 hours a day, playing until your wrist hurts and you just can't play anymore. Those periods, and I think that's when you're on to something, when you play. I think
that is not just true for guitar players. I think it is true for every kind of creative person.
With me in my life, I've gone through those periods and come off them and come on and come off them. Some days I'm just like, I'll play guitar a little bit. Some days I can't wait to play guitar, and I think you need to find that inspiration.
Mark, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, I am really glad that I split the video. If I could choose like one thing for you to take away from this part, it'd be the power of daily practice. Let me know in the comments how that's working out for you. Are you already practicing daily? Or if not, are you starting today? What's holding you back from making that commitment to yourself, to your art? And what was your favorite piece of advice? If you know someone that would benefit from the information in this video, feel free to share it in your social media. As always, you can reach out to me on social media, or we can sing together on Smule. I'd love that. Leave a like, and if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel for more information like this. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.